Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Satyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Satyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Satyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Pānātipātā veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyāmi. Adhinnādānā veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyāmi. Kāmesu miccācārā veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyāmi. Musāvādā veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyāmi. Suramevaya majjapamā dattana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyāmi. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Now in this series of Dhamma discussions, we are discussing the path to Sothapanna, the first level of enlightenment. Always before I start the Dhamma discussion, there are a few points that I mentioned. All the Dhamma that I'm explaining to you, I have taken from the oldest Tripitaka in the world, which is kept at the British Library in London. And we have been so fortunate that the British Library is less than 20 miles from our Vihara. So I had the opportunity to visit there many times and read the Tripitaka and read the sutras that I was really interested in. So this Tripitaka is over 2,000 years old, and it is the oldest Tripitaka in the world and widely accepted as 100% correct. So the Dhamma that I'm explaining from this Tripitaka, sometimes some of the Dhamma points might differ from what you have learned already from the other Tripitakas which were written down during the last 100 years or so, and also from various books that were written by various monks and lay people. If that is the case, don't develop anger or resentment against what I'm saying, or don't come to argue with me. Just practice the principle that Lord Buddha has explained in Kalama Sutra. In Kalama Sutra, Lord Buddha said, don't either believe or disbelieve what I'm saying. Just listen to me carefully, take all this information home with you, and go through it using your intelligence and wisdom, analyze it, revise it several times, and at the end of the day, if you find it correct, if you think it's correct, you can take it, make use of it, and you will see results. If you think otherwise, if you think that it's wrong, just leave it out and carry on with whatever you are doing, but don't develop anger or anger, resentment, or arguments against it. So I kindly make the request from all of you every week in every Dhamma discussion. I do that as a habit. Right, coming to the Sothapanna Marga as per Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra. Now, always I recap what we discussed so far very quickly for the benefit of those who are attending for the first time, and also for the benefit of those who did not get time to do Yoniso Manasikara at home. because Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra is the most important sutra, in my opinion, in the Tripitaka, which Lord Buddha delivered. That was the first sutra that he delivered after attaining Buddhahood. And that was the sutra he meant for the Panchavakya Bhikkhu, the first five disciples, to become Sotapanna. And that sutra is targeted mainly for those who want to become Sotapanna. And all the information that is necessary to become Sotapanna is given in the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutra. So firstly, Lord Buddha gives this summary, and I will go through that summary very briefly. Firstly, Lord Buddha says, I'm explaining a Dhamma you haven't heard before. Then he says, once I learned this Dhamma, I got Chakkung Udapadi, Jnanam Udapadi, Panya Udapadi, Vidya Udapadi, Aloko Udapadi, meaning I got the vision of Dhamma, knowledge of Dhamma, wisdom of Dhamma, science of Dhamma, and the light of Dhamma. Then he says, in order to understand this Dhamma, firstly you have to do three things. You have to come out of Kama Sukha Yoga, that's living a life of luxury. You also have to come out of Atta Kilamata Yoga, that is living a life giving unnecessary suffering to the body, thinking that that will help a person to eradicate Raga Desha Moha and develop his wisdom to the highest level so that the person will be able to understand how this universe works or the universal laws. And Lord Buddha said that also doesn't work. You have to come out of that as well. And then you have to come to Majjhima Patipada. Majjhima Patipada means the path that allows you to eradicate Raga Desha Moha. Majjhima Patipada. Majji means getting drunk of Raga Desha Moha. Ma means completely eradicating. Patipada is the path. So then he says, Majjhima Patipada is the noble eightfold path. Samma Ditti, Samma Sankappa, Samma Vacha, Samma Kammanta, Samma Ajiva, Samma Vayama, Samma Sati, Samma Samadhi. Then Lord Buddha says, in order to come to Majjhima Patipada, first you have to understand the four noble truths, which are noble truth of suffering, noble truth of the cause of suffering, noble truth of out of suffering, and the noble truth of the way out of suffering. Then Lord Buddha says, in order to understand the four noble truths, there are four things that you have to do. Kalyana Mitra Sevana, Sirisat Dharma Savana, Yoniso Manasikara, Dhammanudhamma Patipada. Kalyana Mitra Sevana means associating a person who is capable of explaining correct Buddha Dhamma to you, which will help you to eradicate Raga Moha and comprehend Dhamma. Sirisat Dharma Savana means listening to Dhamma explained by that Kalyana Mitra. Yoniso Manasikara means revise that Dhamma, analyze, revise using your intelligence and wisdom, and try and comprehend that Dhamma. Then the fourth one, Dhammanudhamma Patipada, he explained that as Sabba Papasta Karanang Kusalasta Vasampada. Sabba Papasta Karanang means eradicate all unwholesome thoughts, unwholesome deeds, and unwholesome qualities that you have in your Chitta Santana. And then Kusala Supasampada means develop, cultivate, and practice wholesome thoughts, wholesome deeds, and wholesome qualities that you have in your Chitta Santana. So this is the summary that he gave. And then he started to explain each point in more detail. So firstly, he explained the noble truth of suffering, the first noble truth. Under that, he explained 11 types of suffering that people underwent due to tanha, due to attachment with Raga Desha Moha. And he explained simply how to eradicate that suffering. Then he categorized suffering into three categories. Dukkha Dukkha, Sankara Dukkha, and Viparinama. Dukkha Dukkha is the suffering that comes as a result of past karma. He explained the meditation technique which allows people to eradicate, in most cases, more than 90% of the past karma by practicing that meditation technique. And then secondly, Sankara Dukkha, which those all 11 types of suffering come under Sankara Dukkha. He explained the way to eradicate Sankara Dukkha 100% in this life. So that most of our suffering, the suffering that we undergo, we are capable of eradicating and having a much happier and much more relaxed and peaceful life. So then he explained how this uh, is sung originates in our mind by way of Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankara Vijnana. The Pruthagjana person, the Rupa Vedana Sanya, when those two come to his mind, he always does Sankara and creates Vijnana. Whereas the Arahat person, when Rupa Vedana Sanya comes to his mind, instead of doing Sankara, he does the opposite with Sankara. And he creates Prajna instead of Vijnana. Prajna is the opposite of Vijnana. Now, English language do not have words that gives exact meaning, but just to get a rough idea, you can say Prajna is the ability or the thinking power. It's a positive energy which gives the positive thinking power to construct thoughts with Maitri Karuna Mudita Upekka. That is the main thing that Prajna does, apart from other things that it does. Then Vijnana does the opposite. It is the negative energy that gives the power to construct thoughts, negative thoughts, thoughts with Ragadvesha Moha. So that's Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankara Vijnana, that is the Panchaskandha. Then he said when the Pruthagjana person is attached to this Panchaskandha, Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankara Vijnana, and he called it Pancha Upadana Skandha. Upadana means you are very tightly, very seriously attached to the something with Raga Desha Moha. So when a person is strongly attached to the Panchaskandha, he called it Pancha Upadana Skandha. He's holding on to it. So that's what the Pruthagjana person has. Pruthagjana person is living to do Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankara Vijnana. Then he went on to explain the reason for suffering. He explained the reasons as tanha. Tanha means attachment with raga, dvesha, moha. He said mainly, firstly, there are three types of tanha: kama tanha, bhava tanha, vibhava tanha. Then he says kama tanha. Why people develop kama tanha? Because of because they can do rupa vedana sanya, sankara and vijnana. When they do sankara, they get a mentally fabricated pleasure called aswada. Because of aswada, only people develop attachment. So, the problem with aswada is firstly, it cannot be maintained forever because there's the universal law called anicca dukkha anatta. And secondly, sankara has a very, very big downside, negative side. The reason is every time when you do a sankara, you are accumulating sins and also you are accumulating unwholesome qualities. So if you keep on doing sankara like the Pruthagjana person does all his life, and what happens is by the time he dies, he has accumulated a mountain of sins and mountain of unwholesome qualities. So he has no other place to go to other than the four hells. So that's why Lord Buddha said more than 99 of the people who die go to four hells because they haven't been fortunate enough to, firstly, to hear correct Dhamma and learn it, comprehend it, and practice it. Uh, so, so that's the reason for suffering. Then he said, out of suffering, he said everything in the universe happens according to a theory called cause and effect theory. Every effect has a cause. So the cause of suffering is tanha, and if you want to stop suffering completely and go to nibbana, you have to stop the cause, which is sankhara. So the fourth one is those three we discussed up to last week. Now today we are going to discuss the fourth noble truth, the way out of suffering. Now Lord Buddha said the way out of suffering is the noble eightfold path. So a person who is going to comprehend Dhamma and to become sammadhitti, a person who has comprehended Dhamma becomes sammadhitti. He completes the first fold of the Noble Eightfold Path. And the title given to him is Sothapanna. Sota means the Nibbana Marga, Apanna means arrived. So he has arrived at the Nibbana Marga, which is the Noble Eightfold Path. And in English, is called stream enterer. He has entered the stream. So the person who has come to that position, who is Sammadhitti, now he has a certain knowledge. To come to Sammadhitti, he has to have four Buddha jnanas, four special knowledges, known as Dukkha jnanam, Dukkha samudaya jnanam, Dukkha nirodha jnanam, Dukkha nirodhagamini patipada. So that means that he will have a very good idea of what suffering is all about. Now, so far, I have given you a rough idea. When we discuss how to understand this in more detail, practically, you will get a better idea. I will be explaining to you in more detail the suffering that is involved in the human life, and then in the other lower realms like the animal kingdom and so on. Now, below us, Lord Buddha said there are four realms, four hells, we call them hells, because the suffering in those places are immense. Uh, so, the best place out of those four, you get the least amount of suffering in the animal hell, which we can see. But when we discuss about the animal health next week, you will understand how much of suffering they undergo, more than 100 times of what we undergo. So those are the places that we don't want to go to. That's why we want to learn Dhamma, comprehend the Four Noble Truths, come to Samadhi and become Sotapanna. Then we have taken a complete U-turn. We have come to Samadhi, which means we have permanently left Mityaditi. Until a person comes to Samadhi, he is in Mityaditi. We will discuss that in detail next week. So today, what I want to explain to you is what is Samadhi and what are the other seven, and briefly how to practice them. So Samadhi, the person who comes to Samadhi, as we discussed a few minutes ago, that person has four special knowledges. So he has learned, he has a good knowledge of what is suffering, what is the reason for suffering, what is out of suffering, and what is the way out of suffering. So it's the fourth one we are going to discuss today. What is the way out of suffering? So the way out of suffering, Lord Buddha said the Noble Eightfold Path. There are 8 steps one has to complete. And those 8 steps are Samma Vitti, Samma Sankappa, Samma Vacha, Samma Kammanta, Samma Ajiva, Samma Vayama, Samma Sati, Samma Samadhi. Now let's take them one by one and see what they are. Now, Sammadhi. Sang means Raga Dvesha Moha. Ma means completely eradicating. Ditti is vision. So, person who has understood the Four Noble Truths has got Sammadhi. He knows the way to eradicate Raga Dvesha Moha completely and go all the way up to Arahat. He has the basic idea of how to do it, but he hasn't done it yet. He's going to start now. He has arrived at the path. He's going to practice. But by the time he has come to Samadhi, the knowledge that he has already gathered, the first understanding that he has come to by gaining this knowledge, the knowledge that he has gained is Dukkha Jnanam, Dukkha Samudaya Jnanam, Dukkha Nirodha Jnanam, Dukkha Nirodhagamini Patipada. Once he has got this knowledge, he'll be so frightened of going down this Mithya Ditti road, doing this Sankara every day and enjoying this Aswada. He realized the downfall of it and he knows that the end of that road ends up in the four hells and he doesn't want to go there. So he will take a complete U-turn and he doesn't believe samsara anymore. Samsara means, sam means raga, dvesha, moha, sara means good. Sara means good, asara means not good. So a person who is in samsara, who is following this mithya, this road, he believes sang is sara. Sara means sang is good. Doing san, doing this sankara, and enjoying this aswada is good. That is the way to go. That is the thing to do. And that person lives for that. From the morning until he wakes up until he goes to bed in the night. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to do sankara and satisfy his mind through the six senses. Or you can simply say he's trying to satisfy the six senses. So when he comes to once he has got those four knowledges, he will realize that the road that he's going is completely wrong. The sankara, doing sankara and enjoying this aswadi is very dangerous. That will destroy him, that will desert him in the samsara and make him to spend billions and billions of years in the four hells. So he must come out of that. So once he has got that shock, it's like a shock. It's like a child. You can tell a child 100 times, don't touch a candlelight, but he will not understand. But one day, if he touches it and he feels the heat or he burns his hand a little, after that he knows the danger of touching it. He will never touch it again. So similarly, that the child gets a shock there. Similarly, a person who understands the Four Noble Truths at the first level, he will get a shock of the Mithya Ditti road that he is following by doing this Sankara and enjoying this Aswada, and immediately he will take a U-turn and come to Samadhi. So that understanding is Samadhi. Sang means Raga Dvesha Moha, Ma means completely eradicating, Ditti is the vision. So he has got the vision of how to eradicate Raga Dvesha Moha completely, and he has decided that he's going to go down that road and try his best, and he's not going to go back to that Sankara road, the Mithya Ditti road. Until you come to Samadhi, you are in Mithya. So that's a complete U-turn, complete change of his entire lifestyle. So let's see how that happens through the Noble Eightfold Path. So firstly, he has got the understanding now, and he has decided that I must follow the correct road. So once he has come to the correct road, Now, the first, he has got the understanding of how to do it. Now, we are trying to get that understanding. So, we need to know, we need to discuss what these other seven steps are and how to practice them. And once you have got that understanding, then we have discussed everything. We have learned everything theoretically relating to the Four Noble Truths. Then the second stage is for us to learn how to put it into practice, in actual practice. Now, so today we have to discuss the other seven folds of the Noble Eightfold Path and understand what they are. So once the person has come to Samadhi, then the next thing he will have to do is Samma Sankappa. Sankappa is thought. Samma is eradicating Raga Desha Moha completely. His thought. So he will learn the way, he will know that he will have to eradicate Raga Desha Moha from his thought. Now, to discuss it briefly, we will discuss it in more detail how to do it in practice later. But at this stage, just to learn the theory, how to do this, what he has to do is he has to use this Samma Vayama, which is the effort, and Samma Sati. Sati is the concentration. So he has to make an effort to concentrate, place his concentration at the entry point to his mind, where Rupa Vedana Sanya enters into his mind. So he will have to make a Samma effort to place this Samma concentration at the entry point to the mind. And when Rupa Vedana Sanya comes in, so this concentration will be like a security guard. It will not allow Rupa Vedana Sanya to just walk into the mind and cause problems there as it did before. He will try to catch every Rupa Vedana Sanya. We are getting more than 30,000 Rupa Vedana Sanya in a day. So he has to, he will start, he won't be able to catch everything immediately, straight away. You know, he will gradually start to catch these Rupa Vedana Sanya instead of allowing them to go in, and he will examine whether these Rupa Vedana Sanya are capable of constructing a thought which involves Raga Desha Moha. If it is yes, he will put it out immediately. If no, he will let it go. So that's a Sankappa. That's how a person will protect his thoughts while getting on with day-to-day life. This is not sitting down and concentrating 100% on meditation. That is Samma Samadhi, the last one. The second one is Samma Sankappa. That means while you are going about your day-to-day duties, day-to-day life, how to control your thoughts. So here you are using three things in this Noble Eightfold Path. Firstly, you are using your Samma Vayama, that is the Samma effort, and also you are using your Samma Sati, the seventh one. And using those two, you will try to control the thoughts that come into your mind. So that's a Samma Sankappa. Then Samma Vacha. Same thing with Vacha is the speech. Again, you use your Samma effort and Samma concentration to control your speech, to make sure that you will eliminate all the Raga Desh Moha words from your speech and use only Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekka speech. That is easier than controlling thoughts. Controlling thoughts is the most difficult one. The others are not so difficult. You know, once you do it few times, you will start doing it automatically most of the time. But thoughts is the thing that you have to practice, practice, and practice because that is the hardest thing to do. So that's Samma Vacha. Then Samma Kammansa, any action that you take with your body. And before you do something, always you use your Samma effort and Samma concentration. That's Samma Vayama and Samma Sati to make sure that you eradicate Ragadeshmoha from your action. Any action that you take with your body, and make sure all those actions will be with Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekka. It's not as difficult as controlling the thought. Controlling the speech, controlling action is not as difficult as controlling the thought, which is the most difficult one. So we have Samma Ditti, Samma Sankappa, Samma Vacha, Samma Kamanta. Kamanta is action. Then Samma Ajiva, your entire lifestyle. You look at your lifestyle, everything that you do from the morning, you wake up in the morning until you go back to bed in the night. You will look at your lifestyle and anything that involves Raga, Dvesha, Moha, you will make a Samma effort using your Samma concentration to eliminate those gradually from your lifestyle and try and build up uh, Maitri Karuna Mudita Upekka to your lifestyle. Even the job that you do, sometimes it may mean that you may have to change your job. For example, if you are a fisherman, if you are doing fishing for a life, for a living, then obviously there's no way that you can do fishing with Maitri Karuna Mudita Upekka because your killing is involved there. So a fisherman will have to change his job. But most of the other jobs, you can, it's a question of changing that. You make a little effort, a little concentration, and one will be able to eradicate more than 90% of uh, uh, Raga Dvesha Moha from the lifestyle and bring in its place, Maitri Karuna Mudita Upekka. So that's lifestyle. Samma Ditti, Samma Sankappa, Samma Vacha, Samma Kammanta, Samma Ajiva, Samma Vayama we have already explained. That is the effort which you are using throughout. And also Samma Sati, that is also you are using throughout. For everything, for every step, you have to use Samma effort and Samma Sati together. Samma effort, Samma Vayama is the effort, Samasati is the concentration. Those two you have to use at every step. And the final one is Samma Samadhi. Samadhi means sitting down and concentrating 100% on controlling the thought. There are four positions that you can use in Mahasatara Satipatthana Sutra. Lord Buddha has explained four positions under Iviyapata Pabba. And he says Iviyapata means the position. So the four positions for meditation that he has recommended are firstly sitting down, secondly lying down, thirdly standing up, and fourthly walking meditation. So you can use whichever, or you can make a combination of all four. But when Samma Samadhi means you are 100% trying to eradicate Raga, Dvesha, Moha thoughts coming to your mind. Sitting, either you are sitting or standing up or whatever the four positions that you are using, you are concentrating 100%. That means you are placing your uh, concentration, Samma concentration, at the entry point of your mind, uh, which is the entrance to the Rupa Vedana Sanya. You place your concentration there and you have to make the Samma effort to keep it there because it's easily said than done. It's the hardest thing to do. So sitting down and doing it is easier initially. And then you practice only loving kindness thoughts in your mind. That is called Anapana Sati Samadhi meditation technique, not the breathing in and breathing out. Ana means taking wholesome thoughts, thoughts involving Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekka. Pana means put out bad thoughts. So Samma Sati is meditation. It is different from Samma Sankappa. Now, Samma Sankappa you are developing while you are doing other day-to-day things, getting on with your day-to-day life. But Samma Samadhi is you stop doing everything else, concentrate 100%, 5 minutes or half an hour or 10 hours or whatever you can do depending on the time that is, the free time that is available to you. More you do, quicker you will get better at it. So you either sit down or whichever the one of the four positions which is more comfortable to you. You close your eyes, you make an effort, samma effort to place your samma concentration at the entry point, and you will keep thinking about wholesome thoughts. The best thing that you can do is close your eyes and practice loving kindness meditation. Then the thought that is going through your mind is loving kindness. Any other thought comes in, you have to get rid of it. So that is what Lord Buddha discovered as Anapana Sati Samadhi meditation technique. And Ana means taking in good thoughts, Pana means putting out bad thoughts. And he recommended four meditation techniques in Mahasatara Satipatthana Sutra. Now, Mahasatara Satipatthana Sutra mainly deals with meditation techniques that are necessary to go beyond Sothapanna. That's where once you have become a Sothapanna and if you want to go further, that's where the serious meditation starts. Then you have to study the meditation techniques from Mahasatara Satipatthana Sutra. I can briefly explain them later. And out of the four, the easiest one is loving kindness meditation. The four are Metta-nusati, Asubha-nusati, Marana-nusati, and Buddha-nusati. Metta-nusati means Metta is loving kindness meditation. So all you have to do is sit down and practice loving kindness meditation and make sure that you will not allow any other raga moha thoughts to come in. So in next week, I'm going to explain Dveda Vitakka Sutra, in which Lord Buddha explains how he discovered his Anapana meditation technique and how he practiced it through the practice of it, how he managed to eradicate Raga more. He managed to do three things. Firstly, he managed to stop new Raga Moha thoughts coming into his mind. By doing that, he managed to stop committing any raga, dvesha, moha, unwholesome action. And also he stopped strengthening his raga, dvesha, moha qualities in his chitta santana, which I explained in that container number 3 in the chitta santana. At the same time, what happens is you are developing, you are cultivating good thoughts. When you do that, what happens is in the present moment, you keep cultivating good thoughts, and then your thoughts will be samma, your thoughts will be wholesome, and whatever the actions that you will take, verbally or physically, that will be wholesome, and also you are strengthening your wholesome qualities in that number one container, according to my explanation. So that's what I hope you understand. I have explained this briefly, but when I come to the second stage, where I'm going to explain how to do this in practice, we will discuss them in more detail and as to how to do them. Actually, to become Sotapanna, you don't have to do them. You don't have to practice the Noble Eightfold Path. You only have to complete the first fold, which is Sammaditi. Once you come to Sammaditi, you are Sotapanna. But you must know how to do the rest. Basically, you must have a rough idea, reasonable idea of how to do it. But you will clearly learn how to do it once you have actually started to do. So we will discuss it in more detail when we actually come to the practical explanation of how to practice this entire thing. So I think it's a logical point to stop there.